Mischievous Kitties, Vet Visit. Jewel looked longingly out the window in the dining room. She was hoping to see Fletcher. She hadn't been able to talk to him since owner stopped opening the windows. She laid down on the windowsill, laying her face on her paws. Her nose wouldn't stop itching, and she just couldn't get comfortable when lying down. A few moments passed. She sat up and looked at the window. She noticed the clouds were changing color with the sunset. She sneezed several times so hard that she almost fell over backwards. But she put her front paw on the window to steady herself. Once the fit was over, she noticed her reflection in the glass. Was her face pink? Or was that the sunset reflecting in her white fur? She cleaned her face and then slowly walked upstairs, her tail dragging on the floor behind her. Thankfully, the other kitties were too busy to talk to her. She didn't want to talk. She didn't feel good. She went under owner's bed, curled up into a tight ball, and tried to doze off. She was so tired, wasn't hungry, ached all over, and shivered a little. Not to mention she couldn't stop sneezing her head off every few moments. But she didn't want to tell anyone. She just wanted to be left alone. Peaches and Cream had another great evening together. Watching the owl hunt in the backyard, running around the house, and lounging in the moonlight was so much fun. But once in a while, Peaches kept getting a bad feeling. It wasn't so much in her fur that indicated trouble, it's more in her gut. But she didn't know why. Was it fear? If there isn't any danger, then what was there to fear? She did realize that her ear kept twitching when they were by the stairs. She had been ignoring the strange sound, thinking it was owner or one of the other kitties just making noise in their sleep. But why would that make her ear twitch? She knew all their sounds and barely registered them anymore. So what was it? And then, there it was! It sounded like a sniffle or a small whimper. She took a few careful steps upstairs. When she was halfway up, she heard it clearly. A long sequence of hard but quick sneezing. It was followed by an exasperated sigh. Someone was having trouble sleeping because they kept sneezing. She walked into owner's room and looked around. Pepper was sprawled out in a chair, snoring but sleeping peacefully. Up on the bed was Mocha cuddled closely by Mr. Fuffles. They too were sleeping peacefully. She scowled and sniffed. She was sure the sound came from this room. She closed her eyes and concentrated again, then heard the sniffles. She determined that the sound came from under the bed. She was even more confused and concerned. No one went under the bed unless something scary was going on. She peeked her nose under the covers hanging down and sniffed. The strong reek of sickness hit her nose and she backed up quickly. Something was definitely wrong. She pushed through the covers until she could see under the bed. There, laying close to the wall, curled into a tight, shivering little ball, was Jewel. Peaches braced herself and took a deep breath. The rank smell of fever hit her nose, and she backed up as Jewel went into another sneezing fit. Peaches looked around at the others in the room, who were all sleeping peacefully. Could no one else hear that something was wrong with Jewel? But then she did recall asking that question before, and no one was concerned. She guessed that they hadn't had much experience with other kitties getting sick. Her ear twitched as she heard Cream looking for her. She ran out of the bedroom and back downstairs to find her friend. "Cream!" she called and realized there was panic in her own voice. Cream came running around the corner and they just barely missed colliding. "What? What's wrong?" "Have you noticed that Jewel has been sneezing quite a bit lately?" Cream thought about it for a moment. "I guess, but She's been keeping to herself lately, so I couldn't say for sure. She's sick. We've got to let owner know. Right now? No, in the morning. But first thing in the morning, Peaches said with great concern in her voice. Jewel needs to go to the vet. Cream took a step back. Whoa. Hang on. Jewel needs to go to the vet because she's sneezing? We all sneeze, especially when the windows are open. But the owner never takes us to the vet for that. True. When the windows are open, it does aggravate our allergies, Peaches conceded. But Jewel smells like she has a fever, and she's shivering, which means that what started out as allergies may have turned into something worse. Like what? Cream asked. I don't know, Peaches replied. But we still need to tell owner. Cream looked around. Well, we won't have to wait very long. Why? Peaches asked, and Cream pointed to the window. Peaches looked and could see the signs of the sky brightening. Morning was almost here. They did end up waiting a little bit for owner to actually wake up and get out of bed. Both of them meowed and walked around in circles around the stepping feet. Despite getting yelled at and being pushed aside multiple times, Peaches was determined to keep trying, though Cream was becoming less sure. This isn't working, Cream exclaimed. It has to work. Jewel needs help, Peaches countered. Well, this strategy is not working. We need to come up with a new plan. We don't have time to get a new plan. Owner will be going to work soon. Maybe Jewel needs to get something to eat. That always helps me if I'm not feeling too good. That is true. I wonder when the last time she ate was. But even if she doesn't feel like eating, owner won't find her right away while she's hiding under the bed. Peaches ran upstairs. Where are you going? Cream shouted. To talk to Jewel, Peaches replied. Oh, this is going to end well. Cream rolled her eyes and started to follow Peaches. Peaches carefully entered the bedroom. The bed had been made so the sheets were no longer hanging down to the floor to block the space under the bed. Peaches peeked under the bed just in time to see Jewel go into another sneezing fit. Jewel? She spoke softly. The white kitty turned her face to look at her. One eye was closed, obviously swollen, and the skin around her nose was showing through her white fur, as pink as her nose. The one eye that was looking at her was cheering up, and the fur around both eyes were wet. What do you want? She asked rudely. Peaches could hear that even her mews sounded congested. Jewel, I think you're sick. Do you... Oh, it's your first guess, Miss Smarty Fur. Maybe that'll look as awful as I feel. If you come out, we can get owner's attention so you can go to the vet, Peaches attempted to coax. Why would I want to go to the vet? She snapped. To help you feel better, Peaches stated. I don't want to go there. I just want to be left alone. Jewel? Cream popped her head under the other side of the bed. I can't leave you alone until you are on the road to feeling better. Jewel sneezed hard and then hid her face under her paws. I don't want her seeing me like this. How about a snack? Cream asked. I'm not hungry. When was the last time you ate? Peaches asked. I don't know. The food just hasn't tasted right. And I keep getting sick right after I eat. Because you are sick, Peaches stated. Oh yeah, because you are so smart, you can't even tell when I'm sick. Well, I have been on the streets. I know what it smells like when a kitty has a fever. Peaches shot back, starting to get frustrated. Forget smelling. Jewel, we can take one look at you and know that you are sick. And this is the kind of sick that won't just go away with time, Cream pleaded. Please come out so owner can get you help. I don't want to move. It hurts too much to move. Jewel laid back down, breathing heavily and noisily. "That's it!" Peaches exclaimed. She backed out and ran into the hallway. "Owner! Owner! Jewel needs your help! Hurry!" she started calling. "Would you stop it?" Jewel pressed her paws over her ears. "Why can't she ever be quiet and just leave me alone?" "This might be hard for you to hear," Cream started, "but Peaches takes care of her family." "We're not family. We're not even friends," Jewel snapped. "You both are part of this family, which, like it or not, Jewel, makes you guys family. You don't have to be friends, and you don't have to like her. But Peaches isn't going to let any kitty suffer, much less turn her back to let them do it alone. If one thing I've learned about her since she was adopted, she takes care of anyone who needs help. Even if they can't see that they need help, she doesn't give up. She won't stop until the problem is solved." "That's more than one thing," Jewel hissed. Cream snorted at her. "Now who's being the smarty fur?" Peaches continued to call, and Cream could hear her owner walking up the stairs. Cream ran around to the other side of the bed and laid down to face Jewel. Peaches led owner into the bedroom, and Cream looked up at owner and then back under the bed. Both kitties stepped aside as owner knelt down to take a look, and then pulled a hissing Jewel out. After a quick inspection, which Jewel weakly tried to bite and swipe at owner, she was soon wrapped up in a towel and bundled off into the carrier. Peaches and Cream watched as the carrier was being carried out to owner's car. Jewel had tried hissing at the pair again, but all that came out was a squeak. She laid down, obviously exhausted. Then the door was shut. "What's going on?" Pepper asked as the three boys walked up to the pair. "Where's owner taking Jewel?" "To the vet," Peaches said as she let out a relieved sigh. The feeling in her belly had finally started to calm down. "Why?" Pepper asked, worried. "She's sick with something," Cream explained. "Sneezing, fever, and everything." "Sick? She seemed fine last night," Pepper countered. "Well, she's not fine today," Peaches commented. "It'll be okay. The vet will get her all fixed up," Mr. Fluffles commented as he started to feel encouraged. Later that day, Jewel and owner came home. Owner had to give Jewel medicine every day for several days. A few days into the medicine regime, Jewel was starting to feel better, but she still hated when owner gave her the medicine. "I'll be so glad when this is over." Jewel cleaned her face after the most recent dose. "It should be soon," Peaches encouraged. "According to the vet instructions, owner has to give you the medicine twice a day for about 10 days. "So, what day am I on?" Jewel asked. "I don't know. I would have to look at something that has the current date," Peaches responded. "Why did you guys not have to have any of this stuff?" Jewel sniffed. "I don't know. Given how long you were sick, one would think that one of the other kitties would have gotten sick too. Maybe it's because you wanted to stay away from everyone when you got really sick. You actually kept the rest of us from getting as sick as you were." "Lucky. I don't know which is worse, the stuff I have to choke down or the drops owner puts in my eyes." Peaches shuddered. "I had an upper respiratory infection before I was adopted, so I know how nasty that stuff is." "Oh." Jewel didn't know what to say. The last few days she had realized that Cream had been right about Peaches. Even when Jewel hissed at her to be left alone, Peaches continued to check on her every day. It kind of felt good to have someone other than just owner worry about her. She wished Pepper would worry enough about her to check on her, but he never did. Jewel still didn't want to be friends with Peaches, but she might stop being so mean to her. Peaches continued. "Even though we aren't taking the same medicine, I did notice that owner is giving us all new treats." "What makes you think that the treats are in connection with me being sick?" Jewel asked, skeptical. 'cause they're listed on the receipt from the vet." "Oh." Jewel rubbed her nose. She didn't know what else to say. Peaches was still a smarty fur, but Jewel wasn't going to say that. "Well, I think I'm going to take a nap." "Okay, you have a wonderful nap," Peaches called as she walked out. She had a bounce in her step. Peaches was so glad that Jewel was feeling better. She had stopped sneezing and was looking better, too. Even if Jewel never wanted to be friends with her, that was okay. They were both chosen to be adopted by an owner, which made them family. And family always takes care of each other.